And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm. Glad to have you with us today. We're preparing for the Arctic blast that's coming. It's already getting cold. You may be able to see we still have some snow laying around in different places from the last snow we had. Yesterday and the day before, it warmed up pretty good, well above freezing and up in the 40s. And today the snow is starting. It's about midday, and the weather forecast says get ready, we're having an Arctic blast. We're supposed to have temperatures for highs in the teens and 20s and lows around 0 or maybe a tad below, with some windy conditions. You get single digit weather with 30-mile-an-hour winds, and that's burr weather. So we're preparing today. We're getting a few things ready. I've been out to the barn this morning and got our heated water buckets ready for our chickens and made sure they had plenty of bedding in those coops, and made sure there was no cracks where wind could draft in there. Got everything prepared. Heated water for our farm dog Oakley, and she'll stay the night in the shop when it gets that cold at night. But when she's out during the day, she has a heated 5-gallon water bucket that should not freeze. The chickens have a heated water system where their water will not freeze. Just making sure everything like that is up to par and ready for this cold weather that's coming. We're gonna go into the shop and work on a buddy heater. I bought a buddy heater, Mr. Heater, and I bought a extension for it to hook into a 20-pound propane tank. For a little extra heat in that shop when you first go in there and it's cold, to kind of knock the chill off. I've never used one of these, a 20-pound tank on it. All I've ever used is the little 1-pound spin-on tanks. Those little buddy heaters are fantastic. Man, I'm telling you, you can put a little 1-pound thing on that and sit it in the barn with you or in a small room somewhere, and it don't take long till it's so hot in there you better have to turn it off. But the downside of that, it really goes through those little 1-pound tanks pretty fast. So we've yesterday I bought a hose and a filter adapter to be able to put this heater onto a 20-gallon propane tank. So we're going to try that and see how that goes. I need to check it for leaks and all that. So let's go get started with that. It's getting cold out here and it's starting to snow. We have this buddy heater. And if you don't have one of these buddy heaters and you have just a small area you want to heat up, if you like to camp during the winter, or you like to, you have a deer blind or something you sit in, it's enclosed, or a small shop area, and you just want a portable heat source, man, I'm telling you, these things are, whoever designed these things knocked this out of the park. These things are fantastic. This is the smallest model. You can buy bigger ones. My brother actually has one with 2 burners that if you don't want to carry around a 20-pound tank and this adapter, it's got places for bottles on both sides, the 1-pound bottles. But he has his hooked in just like this, and he uses it in his garage occasionally. And man, these things put out some heat like you wouldn't believe. And everything you read on them, the box, everything says safe for indoor use. I don't understand exactly how that works, but I've watched tons of reviews on YouTube with these things. People setting CO sensors all around them, everything. And I've yet to find a reason not to use this thing indoors. The box even says on it in multiple places, really big, safe for indoor use. So if you use one of these things indoors, do so at your own discretion. Everything I have found says, yes, you can use this indoors. And we've used it some indoors. I've used it here in the shop with just the 1 pound bottles, no problems. And I do have a CO2 sensor here in the shop, because the main heat here is propane heat from a propane furnace. But if you just want to knock the chill off really quick, this thing is fantastic. Yesterday I bought a adapter kit for it. The filter, I've read different reviews on the filters. Some people says they're not necessary. Some says, well, it never hurts to use a filter, and I agree with that. So I went ahead and picked up a filter and a 5-foot extension hose, and this was from the same company that makes the heater. This is not aftermarket hose or adapters or anything like that. This did come from Mr. Heater, so who makes the Buddy heaters. So we're going to plug this thing into a 20 pound propane tank. I've made my connections here, and I have a bottle of warm soapy water. I'm going to shake it up real good and get that soap really foamy. And once I've got pressure to it, I'm going to put some soapy water on these connections. And if it's leaking, it should start bubbling. I'll know that I've got good connections. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 20 pound propane tank hooked up, and I'll be right back with you, and we'll give this thing a test. Okay, I have a bottle of soapy water. Shake it up real good to make it suds really good. Everything's hooked up from the tank here right up to the heater. I'm going to turn the gas on to the, okay, there we go. Now let's put a little soapy water on all these connections. Okay, no leaks there, it don't appear. No leaks there. Okay, everything's looking good so far. No leaks seen. No leaks seen. Alright, let's fire up this Buddy heater. We have everything hooked up. We have everything tested for leaks. And this is opinion, and I'm not a propane heater expert or anything of that nature. But real simple to check to see if you've got a leak. And anytime you're using something like this, I highly suggest take some suds, dish soap, and test your connections. We have all of our connections hooked from the propane tank here up, and we've double checked for leaks. So now we're going to fire this little thing up, and I've got it a little dark in here. I'm fixing to turn the lights off so you can see the glow of this heater. It's hard to see in bright light. So first thing I'm going to do is, if you're familiar with the Buddy heater, I'm going to start the pilot. Okay, there the pilot started. Okay, I don't know if you can you see that pilot light? Alright, now I'm getting ready to turn the burner on. That little Buddy heater is one of the most impressive things that I've used in a long time. And I know they've been out for several years, but this is my first experience with one this winter. And boy, I tell you, I am so impressed with this little thing. It's just amazing. Combination of a 20-pound propane tank with the adapter hose and a filter, and this little buddy heater is, if you want to heat up in a small enclosed space, good grief, this thing puts out the heat like nothing I ever saw. And they're relatively inexpensive and cheap to run. I've watched some video reviews on this little smallest portable buddy heater, and I've saw different numbers depending on which video I watched, but I've had some folks say that using this thing in an RV or a camper in the winter, and they say that they can run like 5 days or 7 days on one full 20-pound propane tank, and that's running it at night for like 8 hours a night or 7 hours, something of that nature. And boy, if you have a small shop you use in the winter to work on tools and things, or in your barn or wherever you may be, that you need some portable heat, boy, this thing's fantastic. Couldn't sing the praises of this thing enough. However, if you use it with those little 1-pound propane bottles, and let me grab one, it will run on these for very portable. You don't have to lug around a 20-pound propane tank. But these little 1-pound cylinders, they don't last real long. You have to carry a whole lot of these if you're going to use it very much. Whereas you could just plug into this a 20-pound propane tank or a 40-pound, whatever you decide that fits your situation the best. I may go and invest in like a 40-pound propane tank just to keep here in the shop, get it filled up, and have it here to use this heater with during the winter. This is fantastic. How did it take me so long to discover a portable buddy heater? I must be way behind the times, because these things are fantastic, and this is probably really old news to a lot of y'all. This is new news to me, and these things are fantastic. Years ago at work, before I retired, I worked with some guys that were avid deer hunters, and some of them had these enclosed blinds that they had out on deer leases and on their property. And I heard a lot of those guys talking about using a buddy heater inside their blind while they were hunting and to keep warm. Said that they just went on and on bragging about how nice they were. Now I understand why. I never owned one. I never really had a need for one, but once I discovered how well this thing works and the amount of heat this thing puts out is, for its size, is unreal. The only thing I would like better than this would be a wood stove for a shop setting or even in your home. These things are out of the world fantastic, and hooking it up to a 20-pound propane tank is so much better. And I'm back outside. Boy, the weather's really starting to deteriorate. You folks that are up north, like in Maine and all, I heard y'all are gonna get dumped with some snow tonight. And folks like in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, I hear y'all are gonna be some like 35 below zero the next day or so for lows. Y'all be careful up there, but batten down the hatches. The winds are blowing here about 40 miles an hour, and the snow is blowing completely sideways. It's gonna be a cold night. Batten down the hatches. I hope y'all stay warm and safe. Gather with family around the wood stove and stay warm. Tell each other you love one another. Be safe. God bless y'all. I'm gonna get back in the shop. It's too cold out here. Thanks for being with us, and I pray that God blesses you and your family and hope y'all have a fantastic day.